This is your need to know. This is your need to know.
Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive. And today we've got some really cool stuff to talk about.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this one.
I think you're going to find this fascinating. From a fungus that can think without a brain
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
to galaxies that are breaking all the rules to AI in the financial markets, and even a little bit about a public health concern that's been in the news lately.
Right.
So by the end of this, you're going to be armed with all kinds of really cool stuff to impress your friends at parties.
Yeah, you'll be the life of the party.
That's right. So let's dive right in with this incredible story about this fungus that can, like, pass a cognitive test,
Yeah.
but it doesn't have a brain. I mean, how is that even possible?
Well, it really challenges our understanding of intelligence, doesn't it? This fungus, it's called Phanerochae velutina.
Yeah.
And researchers were studying how it grows on wood.
Okay.
And so what they did is they arranged these wood blocks in specific shapes, like a circle or a cross,
Good.
and then they watched how the fungus grew over time.
So did it just, like, grow randomly all over the place?
No, not at all. What they found was that, like, months later,
Really?
the fungus seemed to remember the shapes it had been grown on.
Oh, wow.
So the mycelium, which is like the network of threads that make up the fungus, it actually avoided
Yeah.
growing through the center of the circle.
So it's almost like it had, like, a mental map of the shape, even though it doesn't have a brain.
Right.
Like, if we think of a brain.
Yeah, it's mind-boggling.
Yeah, it's mind-boggling. So could this be some, like, really rudimentary form of learning?
I mean, it's an intriguing possibility. Scientists are thinking maybe it has something to do with the way the fungus distributes nutrients throughout its network. So you can imagine, like, a complex transportation system.
All right.
And by avoiding the center of the circle,
Yeah.
the fungus might be optimizing how it gets resources, making sure all parts of the network get the nutrients they need.
So it's like being efficient.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Efficiency. Yeah, and, it just makes you wonder, what else is out there? What other examples of intelligence might we be overlooking?
Yeah, we just don't recognize them because they don't think like we do.
Right, exactly. Like,
Right.
we need to maybe broaden our definition of thinking a little bit.
Yeah, this is, like, really make me rethink what it means to be intelligent.
Me too, me too.
Okay, well, speaking of discoveries that are kind of like pushing the boundaries of our understanding,
Yeah.
let's switch gears a little bit and talk about these red monster galaxies that astronomers are finding.
Oh, yeah, these red monster galaxies.
Yeah.
They're really remarkable.
Yeah.
They're huge. I mean, almost as big as our own Milky Way galaxy, but they form so much faster than we thought was possible.
Oh, wow.
They're like the overachievers of the early universe.
Yeah. So what's the big deal? Why are astronomers, like, freaking out about these things?
Well, for one thing, they challenge our whole understanding of how galaxies form,
Right.
Our models say that galaxies should grow gradually over billions of years, slowly collecting gas and dust to make stars.
Yeah. But these red monsters, they just, like, packed on a ton of mass in a really short amount of time.
So they're kind of like the rebels of the galaxy world, breaking all the rules.
Exactly. They're rule breakers.
Yeah.
And what's really exciting is that we found these using the James Webb Space Telescope.
Oh, wow. So the James Webb is really living up to the hype.
It's incredible what we're seeing with this telescope.
So tell me a little bit more about how they actually, like, how the telescope helped them find these red monster galaxies.
Well, the key is this technique called slitless spectroscopy.
Okay.
It lets scientists break down the light from these galaxies into all its different wavelengths.
Okay.
So like a rainbow.
Yeah.
And by studying those patterns, they can figure out what the galaxy is made of, its temperature, how fast it's moving, all kinds of stuff.
So it's like taking a cosmic fingerprint.
That's a great way to put it, a cosmic fingerprint.
Yeah.
And what those fingerprints are telling us is that these red monster galaxies are just churning out stars like crazy.
Really?
Oh yeah, they're like star factories.
That's wild. It's
Yeah.
just incredible to think that we can look back in time, billions of years and see these things happening.
I know, it's mind-blowing.
Yeah, it makes you really appreciate the vastness and the mystery of the universe,
It really does. And this is just the beginning with the James Webb. Who knows what else we'll find?
Yeah, can't wait to see what's next. Okay, well, let's bring things back down to earth a little bit
Okay.
and talk about something a little closer to home. AI and the financial markets.
Right. AI is everywhere these days,
It is, isn't it?
especially in finance.
Yeah, NVIDIA, the chip maker that powers a lot of this AI technology,
Yeah.
they just like blew past their earnings expectations.
And, they're killing it.
So it seems like if you're looking to invest in AI, NVIDIA is a pretty safe bet.
Well, it's definitely one option, but we have to remember that AI is still in its early stages.
Yeah,
We're still building it out.
right.
So there's huge potential for growth, but also a lot of uncertainty. So how should investors approach this space then? Should they just throw all their money at NVIDIA, or is there a smarter way to do this?
Well, you can definitely look at individual companies like NVIDIA.
Right.
But there are also these things called thematic ETFs
Yeah.
that capture the whole AI value chain.
Hmm.
So one example is the iShares Robotics and Artificial Intelligence ETF.
Okay.
And that gives you exposure to a bunch of different AI companies, not just one.
Those diversifying your risk a little bit.
Exactly.
Yeah. Spread the risk.
Okay, so before anyone rushes out to buy AI stocks, though, it's important to do your research right.
Oh, absolutely.
Really understand what you're getting into.
You got to understand the different phases of AI development and make sure your investments align with your long-term strategy,
Right.
Don't just jump on the bandwagon without knowing where it's going.
Okay, good advice. Okay, so we've talked about the opportunities with AI, but what about the potential risks?
We've seen some headlines recently about a child in California testing positive for bird flu, and it seems like AI might be playing a role in tracking these kinds of public health concerns.
Yeah, definitely. AI is being used more and more in public health for
Yeah.
things like surveillance and disease tracking.
So how does that work?
Well, AI algorithms can analyze tons of data,
Yeah.
like medical records, social media posts, even news articles.
Oh, wow.
And they can look for patterns and trends that might indicate an emerging health threat.
So in the case of this kid with bird flu,
Yeah.
could AI have helped identify that risk sooner?
Possibly, yeah.
Yeah.
AI could potentially identify clusters of cases, track how the virus is spreading, even predict which areas are most at risk.
So it's like having an early warning system.
Yeah, exactly. And that could be really valuable for public health interventions,
Right.
preventing wider outbreaks.
That's amazing. But are there any downsides to relying so heavily on technology for this kind of thing?
Well, one concern is the potential for false alarms
Okay.
or misinterpretations of the data.
Right.
AI algorithms are only as good as the data they're trained on.
Right. Garbage in, garbage out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if the data is incomplete or biased, the algorithm's output could be wrong.
Right.
And that could lead to unnecessary panic or misguided interventions.
So it's really important to use this technology responsibly and ethically.
Absolutely.
Right.
AI is a tool, and like any tool can be used for good or bad,
Yeah. Right.
It's up to us to make sure it's used for the right reasons, especially when it comes to something as sensitive as public health.
Yeah.
This is what you need to know. This is what you need to know.
Okay, well, that brings us to another really fascinating area where AI is kind of pushing the boundaries, and that's understanding the brain and consciousness.
Yeah.
Researchers have actually identified a specific electrical wave in the brain that they're calling the death wave.
The death wave.
Yeah, it happens during oxygen deprivation.
Hmm.
And it seems to signal the beginning of the brain shutting down.
Oh, wow. So it's like the final curtain call for the brain?
Well, it's not quite that simple.
Okay.
What's really interesting is that this death wave might not be the absolute end.
Really?
Researchers have found that if oxygen is restored quickly enough,
Yeah.
another wave can happen, a resuscitation wave
Wow.
that can potentially bring brain function back.
So it's like a battle between life and death playing out in the electrical circuits of the brain.
Yeah,
That's incredible.
like a tug of war,
Yeah.
And this could have huge implications for how we treat things like cardiac arrest, where the brain is deprived of oxygen.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, right now, medical protocols focus on restarting the heart and getting the breathing going again.
Right.
But this research suggests that we need to pay attention to the brain's electrical activity, too.
Yeah.
Find ways to protect it during that oxygen deprivation.
So we could be looking at like a whole new way of approaching emergency medicine and critical care.
Exactly. It's a really exciting area of research, and beyond the medical implications, it also raises some really profound questions about consciousness, you know?
Like what happens in those moments between life and death?
Exactly. People who have had near-death experiences often talk about these vivid memories, feelings of peace, out-of-body sensations.
Yeah.
It's fascinating to think that maybe these experiences are connected to the brain's electrical activity during this death wave.
So you're saying that these like really profound, often mystical experiences might actually have a biological basis?
It's definitely a possibility. The surge of electrical activity during the death wave could be triggering unusual patterns in the brain
Right.
that lead to these subjective experiences.
Yeah, so we might actually be starting to understand the neurological basis of these experiences.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible to think about.
It really is. It seems like we're just starting to scratch the surface of understanding what consciousness is and how it relates to the physical brain.
It's a reminder that the brain is still a huge mystery, a frontier of scientific exploration.
Well, this deep dive has already taken us from the intelligence of fungi to the mysteries of the cosmos to the electrical secrets of the brain.
I know, it's a lot to take in.
I can't wait to see what other amazing discoveries are out there just waiting to be uncovered.
Me too, me too. It's a lot to wrap your head around, isn't it?
It really is. So, like, can you kind of break down exactly what's happening in the brain during this death wave?
Sure. So the researchers were really focused on these things called pyramidal neurons.
Okay.
They're found in the cerebral cortex, which is like the outer layer of the brain.
Right.
And they're really important for communication between different parts of the brain.
So what happens to them when the brain's not getting enough oxygen?
Well, they start to lose their electrical charge.
Okay.
It's called depolarization. And
Yeah.
when a bunch of these pyramidal neurons depolarize all at once,
Yeah.
especially in a specific layer of the cortex called layer 5,
Mm-hmm.
that's what triggers the death wave.
So it's like a chain reaction.
Exactly. It's like this cascade of electrical activity that sweeps across the brain and kind of shuts things down.
Okay, so we've got this death wave spreading. But you said earlier that there's also this resuscitation wave that can reverse it. How does that work?
Well, think of it like jump-starting a car battery.
Okay.
When you get oxygen back to the brain quickly enough, those depolarized neurons can recharge and start firing again.
Okay.
And that surge of renewed activity is what we call the resuscitation wave.
So it's like a race against time.
Absolutely. The longer the brain goes without oxygen, the more damage happens, and the less likely that resuscitation wave is going to be successful.
This has got to have huge implications for how we treat things like cardiac arrest.
Oh, definitely. I mean, right now the focus is on getting the heart beating again and restoring breathing.
Right.
But this research suggests that we need to be paying attention to what's happening in the brain, too.
Right,
We
yeah.
need to find ways to protect it from damage during that critical time.
So maybe we're talking about new treatments or interventions that specifically target the brain.
Yeah, exactly. And that could potentially improve survival rates and reduce long-term brain damage.
It's incredible to think about, and beyond the medical implications,
Yeah.
this research also makes you wonder about the nature of consciousness and what happens when we die.
Right. Those near-death experiences that people report.
Yeah, the ones where they see the light or feel a sense of peace.
Exactly. It's fascinating to think that maybe those experiences are somehow linked to the brain's electrical activity during this death wave.
So you're saying that these really profound experiences could actually have a biological explanation.
It's a possibility. The surge of electrical activity could be triggering these unusual brain patterns
Right.
that lead to these subjective experiences.
It's amazing to think that we might be starting to understand the neurological basis of these experiences.
I know, it really is. It seems like we're just beginning to scratch the surface of what consciousness is and how it relates to the physical brain.
It's pretty mind-blowing. Okay, so we've explored intelligent fungi, rule-breaking galaxies, and the electrical secrets of the brain.
It's been quite a journey.
It has, but before we wrap things up, I want to circle back to something we talked about earlier,
Okay.
the ethical implications of AI.
Yeah, that's an important one.
It is, especially as AI becomes more integrated into our lives.
Definitely.
We've already seen examples of AI algorithms,
Mm-hmm.
perpetuating biases in things like hiring and loan applications, even criminal justice.
Right.
So how do we make sure that AI is developed and used in a way that's fair and equitable for everyone?
It's a tough question, but I think a big part of it is being really careful about the data we use to train AI systems.
Okay.
We need to make sure that the data is diverse and representative and doesn't contain harmful biases.
So it's not just about the algorithms themselves, but also the data that feeds into them.
Exactly. You know the old saying, garbage in, garbage out.
Yeah.
It applies to AI, too. If you train an AI system on biased data, the algorithm's just going to learn and replicate those biases.
Right. So it would actually make things worse.
Exactly. It could amplify those inequalities, so we need to be really careful.
So how do we do that? Is it just a matter of collecting more data from more diverse sources?
It's more than just collecting more data. We need to actually examine the data we're using,
Okay.
identify any potential biases, and then actively work to mitigate those biases before we feed the data to the AI system.
So it's a continuous process.
It requires careful thought, ongoing monitoring, and a real commitment to fairness and equity.
And I think that brings up another important point, transparency.
Yeah.
If we're going to rely on AI to make decisions that affect our lives, we need to be able to understand how those decisions are being made.
Absolutely. We need to move away from these black box AI systems where we don't know what's going on inside.
Right.
We need more transparent systems where we can see the logic, identify potential biases, and hold the developers accountable.
So transparency, accountability, and a commitment to using data responsibly.
Those are key.
Yeah, those are all key to making sure that AI is used ethically and for the benefit of society as a whole.
Exactly. AI has the potential to be an incredibly powerful tool for good.
Right.
It can help us solve all sorts of problems, improve efficiency, even enhance human creativity.
Yeah.
But we need to be aware of the risks and work proactively to mitigate them. It's about harnessing the power of AI while still upholding our ethical responsibilities.
And that's a responsibility that we all share.
We do. It's not just on the developers or the policymakers. It's on all of us.
Right. We need to be having these conversations about the ethical implications of AI and working together to create a future where this technology empowers us, not defines us.
Exactly. It's about shaping the future of AI in a way that aligns with our values.
Okay, so we've talked about the potential risks of AI, but let's not forget about the public health concerns we touched on earlier.
Right. The child in California who tested positive for bird flu.
Yeah, that was the first case of its kind in the U.S., and it's definitely got people talking.
Understandably so, it's a new situation.
So I think it's worth taking a closer look at what this means and what people should be doing to protect themselves.
Absolutely. I think the most important thing to remember is that the CDC is saying the overall risk to the public is still low.
Okay, that's good to hear.
The child had mild symptoms, was treated with antivirals, and is fully recovered.
That's reassuring, but what makes this case so unique? Bird flu isn't exactly a new thing, right?
Right. Most of the cases we've seen in the U.S. before have been in people who work on poultry farms.
Yeah.
Or have direct contact with infected birds, but this child's exposure seems to be linked to wild birds, not poultry.
So it's the source of the infection that's really raising concerns.
Exactly.
So what are the symptoms of bird flu in humans, and what should people be looking out for?
Well, the symptoms are actually pretty similar to a regular flu or cold.
Okay.
You might get a fever, cough, sore throat, muscle aches, headaches,
Yeah.
sometimes even red eyes or conjunctivitis.
Okay.
In severe cases, it can lead to pneumonia or other respiratory complications.
So the symptoms themselves don't sound that unusual, but what should people do if they think they might have been exposed to bird flu?
The most important thing is to see a doctor right away.
Yeah.
Early diagnosis and treatment with antivirals are key.
Okay.
And of course, taking preventive measures like washing your hands frequently and avoiding contact with sick or dead birds,
Right.
those can help reduce your risk of getting infected in the first place.
So to sum it up, this case of bird flu is a reminder to be aware of the potential risks,
Yeah,
but it's not a reason to panic.
exactly. The risk to the public is still low.
And by taking precautions and getting medical help if we need it,
Right.
we can minimize the impact.
Well said. I think we've covered a lot of ground today.
We've gone from intelligent fungi to the mysteries of the cosmos to the ethical challenges of AI.
And even the electrical secrets of the brain.
It's amazing how all of these topics are interconnected.
It is, isn't it?
It just shows you how complex and fascinating the world really is.
And there's always something new to learn.
Always something new to discover.
It really is. And, it makes you wonder what other mysteries are out there just waiting to be solved.
I know, right?
Yeah.
But what else don't we know?
Exactly. There's so much more to explore and discover.
And that's what makes it so exciting, right? This constant pursuit of knowledge, pushing the boundaries of what we thought was possible.
Absolutely. It's about always asking questions, always being curious.
And never stop diving deep, right?
That's right. You never know what incredible insights you might uncover.
Well, that's a perfect note to end on. I think we've covered a lot of ground today.
We have.
From the intelligence of fungi,
To the vastness of the cosmos.
the ethical challenges of AI.
And the mysteries of the human brain.
It's been an amazing journey.
It really has. And I hope everyone listening has enjoyed it as much as we
I
have.
hope so too, today.
And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into the world of science and technology.
Until next time, keep those minds curious.
And keep exploring.
This is your need to know.
Falling drops upon my skin. Soft and cold, they pull me in. I hear the whispers in the wind. Love and loss, where to begin? In the silence, your voice remains. Echoes of our joy and pains. Every tear a crystal chain, binding me to our refrain. Whispers the rain, they find me, tracing patterns on the window pane. Whispers the rain, they bind me to the shadows of the pain. Oh, so whispers the rain, calling softly your sweet name. So whispers the rain, everything feels just the same. Walking down these empty streets, every puddle shows your face. In the rhythm, heartbeats, yearning for your warm embrace. In the lightning, your eyes appear, glimpses of a time held dear. Every drop a souvenir of a love that's still so near. Whispers the rain, they find me, tracing patterns on the window pane. Whispers the rain, they bind me to the shadows of the pain. Oh, so whispers the rain, calling softly your sweet name. So whispers the rain, everything feels just the same. I wanna stand beneath the storm, feel the rain upon my face. Let the winds be fierce and warm, wash away each lingering trace. In the heart of the tempest's might, I'll seek the peace I crave. In the dance of the rain tonight, I'll find the strength to be brave. Whispers the rain, they find me, tracing patterns on the window pane. Whispers the rain, they bind me to the shadows of the pain. Oh, so whispers the rain, calling softly your sweet name. So whispers the rain, everything feels just the same. Drenched in tears, the night unfolds, a symphony of dreams untold. In the storm, the truth is cold, of a love that's lost its hold. In the thunder, your voice I hear, carried on the winds of fear. Every drop a bitter tear for a love no longer near. Whispers the rain, they find me tracing patterns on the window pane. Whispers the rain, they bind me to the shadows of the pain. Oh, so whispers the rain, calling softly your sweet name. In the whispers the rain, everything feels just the same. Rain keeps falling night and day, washing all my doubts away. In the end I'll find a way to embrace the dawn's new ray. Whispers the rain, they find me tracing patterns on the window pane. Whispers the rain, they bind me to the shadows of the pain. Oh, so whispers the rain, calling softly your sweet name. In the whispers the rain, everything feels just the same. Rain keeps falling night and day, whispers the gray. Rain keeps falling night and day, bringing night to stay. The whispers the rain, I find strength to carry on. So whispers the rain, I'll find strength to carry on. Tracing patterns on the window pane. Tracing patterns on the window pane. Tracing patterns on the window pane. Tracing patterns on the window pane.